Hey, Stagehand, can you put Dr. Fred on the speakerphone? Shut up. It's ringing.
Yes, what do you want?
Hello. Hello. This is MM from LucasArts. Is this Dr. Fred?
Chuckle.
Who did you think you called? Dr. Spock? Look, I don't have all day.
Well played, sir. So, we noticed an old document declaring that we owe you $2 million in back pay for you and your family's likeliness in the Maniac Mansion game, and we will send that directly into your Swiss bank account.
Operator, get me a travel agent. This is an emergency.
He's such a sucker. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maroon Mercenary's review on Day of the Tentacle Remastered. Now, first things first, let's get some context about this game. The original version was created and published by LucasArts Games, which was, in my opinion, the king of point-and-click adventure games in the early 90s. They did multiple titles from Sam & Max Hit the Road to the Monkey Island series. With that being said, this is also a point-and-click adventure type of game. In fact, this is actually a sequel to Maniac Mansion, another game from LucasArts Games of the same genre. This remastered version can be played in both the original version as well as in the remastered design, so this review is also going to be a comparison video. But let us move on to the story, and as a warning, there will be spoilers ahead. Day of the Tentacle takes place 5 years later from the Maniac Mansion game, starting off with a mad doctor's pets moving around the mansion to a sludge disposal area. Of course, these pets are not normal. They are living tentacles. After one of them consumes the waste product, he mutates and desires to take over the world. Later on, our main characters come across a letter that was delivered by a hamster. Yeah, let that sink in for a moment. This letter explains that the Mad Doctor has heard of Purple Tentacle's project and is planning to dispose of both tentacles. They hurry back to the mansion in search for them, and one of our heroes rescues both of them just in time to figure out that he just continued the diabolical plans of Purple Tentacle. The next thing everyone can do is to turn off the sludge machine so it doesn't go into the river anymore.
Isn't it a little late for that?
Of course. That is why it needs to be done yesterday. And so, our protagonists are in separate stalls of the time machine, also known as the Chronogon, to ensure that one of them makes it to yesterday alive. Chaos ensues as part of the time machine breaks. This causes them to fall in different areas of time. One of them falls into the past, one returns to present day, and one lands into the future. To regroup in the present, the Chronogons need to be plugged in and...
Plug them in? Where is Hoagie going to find an electrical outlet 200 years in the past?
It's simple. He needs the plans for Dr. Fred's super battery.
Now what am I going to do?
I think I made myself perfectly clear. Step 1, find plans. Step 2, save world. Step 3, get out of my house. Let's get crackin'.
And with that, we can start discussing the gameplay. You play as 3 characters. You have Bernard, the reoccurring nerd from Maniac Mansion. He is the one who returns to the present time. There is Hoagie, who is a roadie that lives and breathes rock music. He is also the one stuck 200 years in the past. And finally, we have Laverne. She is a med student who seems to be a little off her rocker. She has to return to the present from 200 years in the future. Most of the game involves having all 3 sending each other items that would be useful to the other characters and helping Hoagie and Laverne get back to the present. Each starts out with an inventory item, but then you need to discover other items between the 3 time periods and figure out how it is useful to whichever character. There is an item that is useful to 2 characters, but I won't say what that is. To send the items, you need to send it via the Chronogon. You can do this by going to the chronogen, placing the item in, and have the character retrieve it. Or you can grab the item and send it straight to another character, automatically placing it into his or her inventory. Some items need to be combined and make a new item. This is different from the usual point-and-click combination system of the LucasArts games that I know, because these combinations actually make sense. For example, and this time spoiler alert, a bucket of water with a soap bar makes soapy water. My, isn't that shocking of a revelation? However, because the item combinations seem normal, I feel that LucasArts and Double Fine needed to compromise with rather odd ways of how you interact with these items. Again, as an example and spoiler, you give an explosive cigar to George Washington to knock his fake teeth out. This is so you can give him novelty chattering teeth so others will think he is cold. In both versions, they present the cutscenes as full screen as each version will allow, but the gameplay visuals are different from each other. In the classic version, there are technically two screens divided around the middle horizontally. The top screen presents the environment that the character is in. Example of this is Bernard out in the parking area during the present time. The bottom half of the screen acts more like the menu screen, split between actions, inventory, and pictures of the other characters to switch who you are playing as. By default, left-clicking the mouse will make the character move to the area you clicked on. Right-click will do this too, but it will also do the type of action the game feels best to do. I find the right-click action to be useless because I usually don't want to just look at an item. If it is something I need to use, I want to try using it right away or stashing it into my inventory. This is why I usually click on the action that I want on the menu screen or grab the item I have to use on the environment right away. In the remastered version, it is full screen all the way. If you need to switch characters or look into your inventory, you can move your cursor to the bottom left screen and it will allow you to go into that sub-menu. Left click is to move once again, but the right click will activate a sub-menu of what actions you can take. In my opinion, this gameplay is much more convenient, even though I am still more accustomed to the classic gameplay. Both games try to be consistent with the art style for the game, but since the classic version originally came out in the early 90s, everything is pixelated. Then on top of that, everything in the environment section seems to be compressed due to half of the screen taken up by the menu. It really can be an eyesore. The remastered was released in 2010, so the graphics were given an upgrade, and thankfully I don't need to squint anymore just to focus on what I'm seeing. The lines of the characters seem to be smoother and better blended too. However, the backgrounds of this version just didn't feel like they took as much time as remaking the characters. It's like if they were just trying to get the game out instead of honoring a classic. They both suffer from badly synced mouth animations. It's like they tossed in random mouth positions instead of the positions that fit the vowel sounds. Oh well, it's better than watching some YouTubers out there that just show images of them having open mouth positions to represent them talking. And here's a distraction from the hypocrisy. The audio generally wins me over. Both versions play the same soundtrack for music, and they both did masterfully for their respective releases. The music really brings the immersion for where you are in the game. Like the games of yesteryear, the soundtrack from the classic version does sound blocky, and if pixel graphics were measured in sound, that is the type of sounds you would hear. The remastered version really does remaster the music in this game. Even though I still love the blocky soundtrack the classic version has to offer, in the newer version, the music sounds smoother and much more lovable. Both versions of the game have a solid voice acting part for the audio. It comes in clear as a bell and the volume is appropriate. The classic version is done so well, it's like they didn't even redo the voice acting for the remastered version, which is fine by me. If I have to nitpick the audio, I have to grab from the bottom of the barrel here. I don't like Mrs. Edison's voice. She's Dr. Fred's wife, and she sounds like a cliché witch. Why I feel this is the bottom of the barrel is because the cliché witch was performed well, and I'm pretty sure that was the intention. Overall though, I am a fan of point-and-click games. I know it is a hard genre to enjoy, so I cannot recommend it without some perspective to give. If you love point-and-click games, I would recommend Day of the Tentacle Remastered. If you are a nostalgic buff, I would recommend playing it in classic mode. And now you, the new players for point-and-click adventures. Yeah, you. We're gonna need to have a little talk. Some of these puzzles you will go through will be much harder than others. You'll need to think of what to do and use this with that. Sometimes normal logic gets in the way of this game's nonsense. My advice for you is to talk to all of the non-playable characters in this game. This does provide a dialogue tree to choose what you want to talk about. Some responses are silly and some are helpful. Some of both are pretty funny. At any rate, pay attention to them so you can learn something useful to progress in the game. And besides, hearing the silly responses add flavor to the game. While you are paying attention, you should do so with your environment as well. Check your inventory, and then check your environment. Maybe there is something you can match up with the scenery to cause a reaction. So with all of that said, I suggest you find the game on your preferred gaming system of choice or the next best thing and play this game. This is Maroon Mercenary and my review on Maniac Mansion's Day of the Tentacle. Hey everybody, I just want to thank you for taking the time to watch this review. I sincerely do appreciate the support that you give to me by watching. And if you'd like to support me even further, then please click on the subscribe button followed by the notifications bell so you can watch future episodes. While doing that, check out some of my previous work. Also be sure to leave a comment for any video you do see. I will be looking forward to seeing them.